The F1 Super License system needs changing. Getting an F1 seat is pretty tough already, with only 20 drivers split between 10 teams on the grid. But that's not all. You don't just have to impress an F1 team and boom, you're in. Oh no, you have to get enough points on your Super License before you're allowed to race. This whole Super License system itself is pretty dated and confusing too. In a nutshell, the system awards drivers points based on their performance in FIA-recognised racing categories. These categories range from World Championship Senior Karting all the way up to Formula 3, Formula 2 and IndyCar. Once they reach the magical 40 points over 3 consecutive seasons of racing, drivers are then eligible to make the jump to race in Formula 1. Seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? Well, it gets a little bit more complicated and silly when you realise that certain categories get more points than others. IndyCar is a great example of a series that gets far less points than Formula 2, which doesn't really make much sense whatsoever. Unless you win the IndyCar Championship, you currently get fewer points for finishing in the top 10 of IndyCar than you do for Formula 2. Take a look at this table. This would be fine if IndyCar was seen as a lesser competition than Formula 2, but as Formula 2 runner-up turned IndyCar racer Callum Ilott said on Twitter, Indy takes the cake. Average level of competition, races almost twice as long, no tyre savings so full attack the whole time, physically draining, and much more variety of tracks. Let's take a step back for a second. Why are we talking about Super License points? Well, current IndyCar driver Colton Herta has been heavily rumoured on for a seat at AlphaTauri, but doesn't have enough Super License points. He currently sits on 31 out of the 40 points needed for an F1 seat, despite being a 7-time IndyCar race winner. The American has even jumped in a Formula 1 car before, testing with McLaren at Portimao in July. Right now, he's 8th in the IndyCar series, and if things stay as they are, Herta will only pick up 3 extra Super License points, and would still be 6 points shy of a seat in Formula 1. Nevertheless, Red Bull is currently negotiating with the FIA to grant Herta an exemption and allow Herta to replace Gasly at AlphaTauri from 2023. Red Bull is still waiting for a definite answer, claiming the decision will be made by the time of this weekend's Italian Grand Prix. However, not everyone on the grid agrees with the moves Red Bull are making for Herta. Alfa Romeo's Fred Vasseur was one of the first to speak up on the issue, making clear that the reason the system is in place is to keep up standards on the F1 grid. He said, "You have to keep in mind that when we made the decision about the Super License and the points, it was to protect Formula 1 and the drivers, to avoid having 10 drivers coming in F1 with big budgets and no results in the past, and taking 50% of the grid." Despite running the only US-based team on the F1 grid, Haas boss Günther Steiner also weighed in on the debate, adding that, "If we don't respect our own rules and try to find ways around it, I don't think that's correct." Weirdly, the Super License system that Günther is talking about was actually brought in after Red Bull themselves signed a 17-year-old Dutch kid with no driver's license, someone by the name of Max Verstappen. Don't think you've heard of him. If the FIA are unwilling to change the system to at least allow for IndyCar drivers to be awarded the same points as Formula 2, then I think exemptions absolutely should be allowed to happen if the driver can prove that they are capable of racing, which Colton Herta absolutely has. There you have it, a look into the FIA Super License system and how maybe things need changing. Do you think the whole rules should be altered? Let us know in the comment section below.